you can as well be a part of Smooth Health this evening. What you get to do is, well, I'm sure you'd have questions you want to ask, right? So come through on WhatsApp on 0809 4440981. That is the number to share your questions, ask whatever questions you want to ask. And Dr. Tobi will be here. Well, he is here and he'll be, responding to your questions as they come as well. All right. So, you know what? There are so many things certain people don't understand when it comes to diabetes. I know that we sort of touched on surface yesterday, but it's actually great to have that conversation today and really get in-depth knowledge about diabetes. There's usually, I'm even going to start off with the one where most people say, oh, avoid sugar in its totality. When you have sugar in all your meals, it's going to increase your diabetes. However, they don't know that meals that they're having can also, become that sugar that they're also avoiding. So let's even start off with talking about or understanding what diabetes is. What are the two main types of diabetes? I know that there's the type 1 and type 2, but I'd like you to expatiate on them so we get a clearer understanding and why we even have the type 1 and have the type 2.
Thank you very much. Good evening once again, everyone. There are majorly two types of diabetes, all right? So
Right.
there's the type 1 and there's the type 2, all right?
Right.
So both are characterized by, diabetes generally is characterized by an inefficiency of um, an enzyme called insulin, all right?
Right.
So this insulin is either it has having a resistance
Okay.
or it's not functioning properly or
Mm.
it doesn't exist at all. Okay.
All right.
So for the type 1 diabetes is a situation where the body is fighting against itself. Uh, and so in a bit where the body fights against itself, the body's immune system attacks the cells in the pancreas that
Mm.
produce insulin. Okay. And so
Right.
when that is done, there's little or no insulin in the
Anybody?
body.
Any?
And so all the sugar just stays in the bloodstream. However, in type 2, it's different.
Right.
The pancreas produces the insulin. It has
What?
the insulin in the bloodstream. However,
Mm-hmm.
there is a resistance of the cells to the insulin. So they didn't just like the insulin, or the insulin is not being used effectively. So there's maybe a poor binding. The sugar doesn't bind effectively to the insulin. And
Right.
so in this type of diabetes, the insulin is present there, but it doesn't the it doesn't get into the cell
Mm-hmm.
straightly. Okay. Yeah. So those are the two major types of insulin. However, there's also a third one. It's not a type 1 or a type 2. It comes
Right.
more under type 2, yeah, but it's called
Okay.
gestational diabetes. It happens to
Right.
pregnant women. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some women that they don't have diabetes, they haven't had any history of having high blood sugar. However, when they get pregnant, they start having this high blood
Comes
sugar.
up.
Just
Hmm.
comes up out of nowhere.
Hmm.
It just comes up with pregnancy, and then after pregnancy, it could disappear.
Oh, okay. That's actually
It
good
may
to
not disappear, but
now
it
that's
could
tricky.
disappear. Yeah,
Knowing
yeah,
that you might just
yeah. It may not
that might
disappear,
be
but it could
your,
disappear.
as they say, lot in life. Now that can be very tricky.
Yeah, your luck in life. It could just come and then it could
Right.
disappear. Or and then if it disappears, what we say is that there's a likelihood that when later in life, as you get older, it may
Okay.
come up.
Oh, okay. So
Back.
there's that tendency that even if you as you get older, it will come up and
Yes,
resurface it.
yeah,
Mm,
resurface again. Yes,
mm.
yes.
Okay,
So
so
those are the major types of diabetes.
I know that there are certain ways people can actually di be diagnosed or figure out, okay, so this is how I have this are the symptoms, and if I've gone to the doctor, these are the things I should be looking out for. I know there's the constant thirst. There's also urination, constantly urinating. Some people will also say that if you have a lot of blisters that don't heal so fast, that's another sign that you're probably having diabetes. So, but I would like you to also highlight certain ways that diabetes can actually be diagnosed or the signs that they need to also be looking out for.
Okay. Okay. So, what you mentioned about some of the symptoms that you can see with
Mm-hmm.
diabetes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, however, when you're trying to diagnose diabetes, there's certain tests that we do
Okay.
to be sure that you're actually diabetic, and these tests uh, they vary. Okay. So
Okay.
one of it is an overnight test. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, how do I say? It's not exactly. You don't do the test overnight. You start from the night before.
The
So
night
from the
before
night
to
before,
monitor.
you do not eat anything. Okay, at least.
Oh,
So we need like 8 hours to 10 hours of fasting. It's
fasting.
called a fasting. It's called a fasting glucose test.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So the fasting glucose test.
Mm-hmm.
In the morning, we take your blood sugar level after you haven't eaten for about 8 to 10 hours, and then
Okay.
we expect that it should be below a certain number.
Certain range.
Yes,
Mm.
anyway, if it's higher than that, it indicates that you probably have diabetes.
Mm.
Okay, so yes, so then we also you can also do a little more advanced than that. What we do is we take some glucose, right, some actual sugar, and
Okay.
put it in some quantity of water. And after it's in that quantity of water, you drink it. Okay.
Okay.
After fasting, when you come in the morning, instead of just taking your blood
Right.
and then you drink it, and
Mm-hmm.
then after 2 hours, we go and check your glucose level. We
All
also
right.
expect it to be at a certain
At a certain
level.
range.
Yes, and lower. If it's higher than that level, then it will be
Oof.
suggestive that you're having some form of diabetes. Okay.
Mm.
So then there's also the HbA1c. The HbA1c doesn't require you to come fasting or anything. Your blood
Yeah.
sugar, your blood sample is just taken, and
Yeah.
I like this one the most because it checks what it does is that it checks
Yes.
your blood control, your blood sugar control over a space of
Mm.
2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Okay, so the
Mm.
value you get from it can is a judge of how well you've controlled your sugar over a period of 3 months. Oh yeah, from the
Mm.
HbA1c. So and then there's also
Okay.
the random plasma glucose, but that's subject to the random one is subject to whether you had something to eat or not. And
All
so,
right.
yeah, so that could vary depending on how long ago you had something to eat or not, and then that.
Hmm. All right. That's actually good to know. I know that there are certain things that people usually start to question, and you mentioned one of them, which is alcohol. Like,
Mhm.
I heard certain things, but before we even start to get into that, let's even talk about diet because I know that a person's diet actually plays an important role when it comes to their overall health and well-being. What exactly should one be, looking at when trying to manage diabetes?
Okay, okay. So really, what you're looking at is proper weight management, calorie control, right? Having a balanced nutrition, all right? Avoiding snacks as much as possible. Snacks should only be if it's needed. However, as much as possible, we should stick to normal food, okay? Yes, then have a lot of proteins and fiber and things that will help just satisfy you rather than just spike your sugar. What you notice is that foods that have a high glycemic index, okay, um, they are they stay in the blood a lot more often. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't break down so quickly.
So
So
easily.
they stay a longer time in the blood.
Okay.
Uh, so instead of having to eat, and many of those foods are fast food, soda, um, those things that would generally just increase your calories rather than be what give you the nutrition that you need. So those are the things really you should avoid. If you ask me, what I would say is just minimize your portions. I like to say if you make a fist with your hand, all right, right. If you make a fist with your hand, that should be the size of your carbohydrate. Okay.
But you know that that's going to be difficult, right?
It's possible. It's possible. You could also
For
make this
for a
size.
typical African man to eat the size of his fist in
Yeah.
swallow. How?
Mm. Ah,
That's good. That's
yeah.
actually going
So
to be very difficult.
it's not easy, but then another thing also is not to have
Ooh, the gremlins.
large. Okay, so you can eat 5 times and
Huh?
eat in small portions. Yeah.
5 times.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but you're having the minimal, very minimal controlled portions, right?
Okay.
You're not
Okay.
having like a full meal. So it's
At
something
one
that you
sitting.
normally would have eaten once. You can break it and eat it 2 or 3 times.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens is that what the body has to deal with at every point in time becomes reduced.
All right.
Okay. So,
Great stuff.
yeah, and then it helps the body be able to manage the sugar levels that exist in the bloodstream at every point in time. So instead of just loading the
Your system, you're
cells,
just
you give
mm,
it the controlled portion gently.
that it actually
Exactly.
needs. All right, so much great stuff to talk about this evening. You can be a part of Smooth Health by sharing, or well, you can if you have questions you want to ask, come through on WhatsApp 0809 4440981. I have with me Dr. Tobi Nwachukwu. He's a medical practitioner and he is giving more insight on diabetes. So come through and ask your questions. But we'll take this quick breather. On the other side, we'll be talking about certain foods, yes, that are actually better off for you. We've spoken about protein. When it comes to carbohydrates, what kind of carbohydrates should you be eating? Because there's a good carbohydrate and there's the bad carbohydrate. All that and so much more on Smooth 98.1. This is Smooth Health on the Drive. Emergency you enter warm shower. So quick breather, then we'll go back in.
Okay. Okay.
The RSC give you a premium water heater. Don't get with better materials. The technology where they take make them will always guarantee say you go get hot water when you need them. Invest for your comfort as you save money on billings. Upgrade your home with Ariston water heater today. For more information, visit our website at www.ariston.com or follow Ariston on Facebook. Nourishment is a good To achieve great dreams, you need great nourishment. So never settle for less. With Dano Milk, you and your family get the right amount of protein, calcium, vitamins A, B, and D, and other essential nutrients that they need to go for it in business, school, and their dreams. So give your family the quality nutrients that they deserve. Choose Dano Milk and enjoy quality nutrition. No compromises. This is Smooth Health on the Drive. This is Smooth Health on the Drive.
All right, you are welcome to the second half of Smooth Health on Smooth 98.1. And my guest this evening is Dr. Tobi Nwachukwu. He is, helping us to understand what diabetes is, how we can control it, what we need to do, as well as, food, our diet, the things we can add to it, things we can also avoid, and so much more. You can be a part of Smooth Health this evening. You can send in your questions that you have regarding anything relating to diabetes. If it's something that you have, been thinking about having a conversation about, especially with with a doctor, and you're, shy about asking those questions. How about you come through and ask Dr. Tobi this evening, and he will get to break it down for you as easily as possible. And talking about breaking something down, yes. I was talking about before we went on that period, I was talking about certain carbohydrates that are, as they say, good carbohydrates to have in your meal as opposed to having the bad types of carbohydrates. So I'd like you to help us work through what exactly or what types of good carbohydrates are we talking about. I know that one of them, before, when we're growing up, we're told that beans was protein, but we found out much older in life that beans are actually carbohydrate, but a good one. So help us break this down. What other types of carbohydrates, what kind of good carbohydrates should we be having in our meal?
Okay. So important to state, first of all, that, like I mentioned just before the break,
Right.
that portion control is very important. Okay.
True.
Yeah, portion control. Um, there's nothing that a diabetic cannot eat. All right.
Oh,
But
okay.
what we advise is that they should be to control their portion. The symptoms bring about you being a little more hungry than normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're controlling your portions and using your medications properly,
Mm-hmm.
that will help keep your blood sugar. That being said, forms of carbohydrates are very good that you can have. Um, carbohydrates exist in different classes of food. Okay,
Right.
you can have a bit of carbohydrate and fiber.
Mm-hmm.
Can have a bit of carbohydrate in your oats, Quaker oats.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know some people make Quaker oats into swallow.
Follow. Mm.
Yeah, you can make like Quaker oats into
Mm-hmm.
swallow. So some pasta. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You can have that pasta, oats, nice vegetables, a lot of vegetables. Beans is
Right.
good. Okay, beans is
Mm-hmm.
good. You can have beans. Yeah, a sweet potato is also very good that you can have.
Oh,
Yam.
okay.
So oh yeah, you don't put sugar inside of it. Okay, so it's important that because there's some people who when they're cooking it. So, but that's not very
Yes.
healthy. Okay.
They put sugar
Yeah,
while
that's
they're
not very
boiling the
healthy.
yams.
They're boiling the yams, yes. So, yeah. So those are forms of carbohydrate that are good. But the important thing about it is combining it with protein,
And
um,
lots of
um,
veggies.
yeah, veggies and protein. That will help to make it a balanced diet. It's not just about the carbohydrates, it's about creating a balanced diet.
Right.
And then
Mm.
outside that, also controlling your portions. So if you have a bit of all these things together, and
Right.
I'm sure you'll be doing fantastic.
Well. Mm. All right. Peter has a question here, and Peter
Yeah.
wants to know if blood sugar test translates to diabetes diagnosis.
If Peter wants to know if blood sugar,
I didn't get that. Sorry. The gremlins are trying to get your network.
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, can you hear me
So
now?
Peter wants to know if blood sugar is, yeah,
If blood sugar tests
can hear you.
translates to diabetes diagnosis. Did you get that? Mm.
How it's being
Okay.
diagnosed, how you find out about the elevated blood sugar, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if your blood sugar is high,
Right.
the questions to ask yourself are, when last did you eat? Okay.
Okay.
How much did you eat? And then you now take your time and then maybe give that person a few 1 hour or 2 hours and then check it again. Or you have the person go back home and come in the morning when he's fasted and recheck the blood sugar. So
Okay.
you're trying to assess the body's ability to control the sugar in the blood. Not that you're looking for the sugar in the blood. Sugar can be in the blood, should always
Right.
be in the blood, because even when you check it, even when you do the test, you're seeing the blood at a certain range. That range is not zero.
Just there. It's not
Okay?
if it's zero, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble, very big trouble, very big trouble, self. So
Mm.
that range shouldn't be zero. That range
Right.
shouldn't be zero. So we're just wanting to see how well the body is able to control the presence of the sugar in the blood. That's it.
All right. So,
So
uh,
blood and sugar in the blood doesn't mean that you're diabetic. Yeah.
okay. That's actually good to know. And I'm sure Peter has gotten that indeed. All right. So I know that there are ways that some people try to manage their diabetes. It's either those who get to use insulin and those who usually have to use oral medication. Can you explain the difference between these two?
Between.
Those who have to use insulin and
Okay.
those who have to use the oral medication.
Okay. 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 So let me first debunk something. Then there are people who think that insulin is only for people with type 1 diabetes. Okay, that's not
Right,
correct.
right.
That's not correct. Insulin therapy is used for people with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. All right.
Okay. Mm.
While the people for insulin, why the people for type 1 require insulin, because the body isn't producing insulin, they
At
would
all.
always need it. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
However, type 2 may also require insulin uh, if the oral medications being used, and then the lifestyle modifications which you have um, prescribed or advised that the person should
Mm-hmm.
undertake to control his blood sugar, he isn't controlling the sugar well.
Mm.
So you might need to give him some insulin to take those
Okay. That's actually
into the cell. So that with the oral medication in type 2, however, it is also used for type 1 diabetes. Yeah.
All right, that's actually good to know. So, but I know that you've also mentioned that there was yesterday you mentioned something regarding alcohol. Can you also expatiate on that? Because well, I have a message here from Topa that says, okay, so what of a person who is 40 years old? What implication of alcohol can that you mentioned can it have on a person's blood sugar?
Okay, so alcohol consumption, or what it does is it can have an impact on the insulin, it can have an impact on your blood sugar level, because you know alcohol has a lot of sugar in itself. Okay, so
Right.
yeah, so what alcohol can bring about high sugar content. Okay, it can spike
Okay.
your sugar level. That's one.
Mm.
And so, and then if you also consume alcohol without on an empty stomach, okay, it could also bring
Mm.
down your blood sugar. It could also bring down your blood. It inhibits, it, it blocks the production of glucose in the liver.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
When you're not eating, right?
Mm.
At some point the liver is supposed to start breaking down,
All right.
right? The things that have been stored up in your body, for example, fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
The body has a way of renewing and reviving itself. So some form of fat starts to break down into sugar.
Mm.
Okay, so
Mm.
taking alcohol on an empty stomach inhibits this process. So, and then it leads to low blood sugar. Okay, and this
Mm. The network seems to just be getting at.
this can lead you to having some form of irritability. You could even lose consciousness or that's on one side.
Okay.
What alcohol also does is that it increases your appetite. Um,
Mm.
and then when yeah, and then that will lead you to overeating and also having irregular meals. You want to just eat anything, you want to take anything in. So the
Mm.
another important factor of what alcohol does is this liver damage. Okay, it
Mm.
damages your liver, damages the liver, and the liver is very crucial for glucose metabolism. The liver is very crucial for regulating the glucose in the body. Okay, so
All right.
so the liver being damaged can lead to the body's inability to produce glucose when needed,
Mm.
or where it wouldn't take up the glucose and store it properly for when the body can need it.
All right.
All right.
Mm.
So that's what happens. That's what happens with alcohol.
All right.
Another negative effect to be bringing about alcohol also does that it increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases and
Okay.
also increases the risk of having neuropathy. Yeah. So
Mm.
um,
There's a
it,
lot that
it goes
alcohol can
through
actually cause.
all these other organs,
Mm. All right.
yeah, to affect you.
Thank you so much for all that insight today, even though the gremlins were trying to get the better of the conversation at some point, but at least we've gotten more insight on diabetes. However, how can someone reach out to you if they have further questions? Because I know that I still have a few more questions, but yeah, we're almost out of time, or rather, we're out of time. So, how can they reach out to you? Your social media handles that they can, reach out to you and ask further questions?
You can reach out to me on Twitter. Tobi Loba, Tobeloba, A three times at the end. And
Okay.
yeah, I think that's where I'm most
You're
available.
more
Yes. Uh,
okay. So it's been a great and insightful session with you, and thank you for breaking some of those myths as well, debunking them and not letting them assume that that is how things roll. But it'll be good to have you come through on another interesting conversation, and I trust that once we reach out, you will make yourself available.
yes, definitely.
All right, thank you